Hey friends, Doug here from 2 Plus Stuff. I am very excited to jump in with you. Oh my god, we're already at Thursday. I wanted to do a live stream last night. Unfortunately, the reveal show ran a little bit late. My wife was like, no. And I was like, totally fair. I thought it was going to be way earlier. I don't know why I thought that. But anyway, so today we are going to be talking all about the Adepticon reveal show and just kind of my thoughts on it. Now, what's nice about this one specifically, when it comes to how they presented it on the community page, is that instead of having one giant post where you have to like scroll through a bajillion things, they decided to instead make individual articles for each. So I like that because then we can kind of dip our toe into things that seem interesting. I don't have a ton to say on everything, but I will give my thoughts because honestly, even if you're not a fan of the other games, like let's say you just like Age of Sigmar, there's still some really cool stuff. And if nothing else, we can glean some insight into what the design studio, both from a rules perspective, model perspective, that kind of stuff. So there's just stuff to see. One thing I always put whenever I do these, I see the chat's filling up. Thank you guys. One thing I always do when I do these kind of review reveals is just kind of throw out the fact that just because if on the chance that you didn't get something that you wanted, don't be I was going to drop a S-bomb. Don't be crummy online. The reason being, even if you're not happy, it's someone else's day was just made. So, respect that. As far as the actual stuff that was revealed, I think the only two games that have any reason to complain are the flight game for 40k, Imperialis, is that what it is? Whatever the flying aircraft one is, and Warcry, because they didn't get anything. But everybody else, I see people online this morning, I made a tweet that was like, I'm bathing in the tears of people who are disappointed, just because it's just silly to me, but whatever. Let's get into it. So we're going to go over here to the community page. And basically, how I'm going to do this, like I normally do these kinds of reviews, is simply go through the article as it is, get all the information. I watched the Twitch stream. They didn't give nearly as much supplementary information as they usually do. And by that I mean, normally if you watch the stream and you read the article, they kind of sometimes have different bits of information. You can piece together what they're talking about. I didn't feel that way this time. So unless they said something drastically different, in the lives section, I don't know, like at the actual event of Adepticon. But anyway, let's take a look here. So we're going to go down. Is this the, Yeah, okay, so this is how they break it into different articles. So let's take these out. We'll go in order here. The first one is a thing that is very precious to my heart, and that is Necromunda. So if you don't know, I am a massive Necromunda fan. I don't have anyone to play here locally with, but unfortunately, that's unfortunate. I was part of a league back in the Seattle area, and it's just the most fun. It seems very overwhelming, but actually, once you start playing, it's really not. It handholds you through all of the aftermath stuff, all that. The expansion that they got, which we knew was coming, but we didn't have any models for, is the Ash Wastes. So, Necromunda as a whole takes place within the various hive cities that exist within the 40k millennium, specifically on one notable planet, Necromunda. Well, in between these colossal hive cities that are nations and countries unto themselves in terms of population, the space between those things are the Ash Wastes. Radioactive terra that just nobody can really live well in. Think of it as like somewhere between like a radioactive desert, swamp, and blight storm just constantly roaring, if you've ever played Morrowind from back in the day with the blight storms in that. And so you take all these really poor, desperate dirt people, as I like to describe them in Necromunda, and then you just kick them out the door, and that's exactly what we're looking at when it comes to the Ash Wastes. Now, we're going to scroll down here. The big thing is they got a whole new set of terrain. What Ash Waste brings is the idea of light vehicles. So we're thinking stuff like motorcycles, quads. You can see from here one of the things they're showing off. Here's like the basic warband guys. Here's the quad with a harpoon launcher on the back for your Orlok gang. I can't fathom anyone being disappointed in this. It just boggles my mind. And then below that, you actually have some wildlife. So these are giant cricket flea monstrosities that make their home on Necromunda, and the nomads in the wastes have begun using them as beasts of burden. So I'm very interested to see, first of all, we don't get a whole lot of wildlife in 40k. We get like Tyranids, but Tyranids are a very specific, meta-organism, and it just kind of produces various sub-things. But like, when's the last time you saw just a random animal, right? I mean, the Dark Eldar have some, but there's not a ton. So this is a really cool insight into the 40k universe, even though it's not my particular one. I've been on record multiple times, and I still think so. Necromunda is the best part of 40k, because it gives you that flavor of the universe without the insanity of the rules and trying to navigate it in whole armies. It makes sense for any faction to ever fight another faction, all with the flavor of what makes 40k so special. Necromunda is my jam. If anyone here who's local to me watching this wants to hang out and play it, let's do this. Anyway, we're scrolling down. We have their terrain, and I love this terrain because it's all on elevated pitches so that you can use your vehicles underneath them, which I think is great. I would love for there to be rules for action so that you could dismount from your vehicle and climb this ladder here that we can see. Beyond that, I would just like some explanations as far as what counts as cover and stuff like that. Just minor things that you have to figure out with your friends. But in terms of having a terrain set that allows for meaningful infantry combat as well as vehicles spiraling around on the ground, I think they did pretty dang good, because obviously there's lots of room on the ground, right? These structures go upwards instead of wideways. And when you look at how the gangs will fight on those platforms, if you load up the rims of those things with cargo containers or boxes and stuff, you can easily make plenty of cover for your foot troops to have like a meaningful game. It's not like they're going to get just hosed off the board by any vehicle underneath them. So on top of that, I'm very excited. Is it going to get me to play Necromunda? Probably. Am I going to start with Ash Wastes? Probably not. Because it's an extra layer, right? I want to get comfortable again with Necromunda, and then I can expand into vehicles. So that's kind of my logic right now. And that is it for the Necromunda thing. Huge. I honestly think that this and the last thing we'll cover really were the main event. They spent a good deal of time with the Ash Wastes, and it was all terrific. So I'm going to pause there. We'll leave this on the screen right here, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on the Ash Wastes. So let's see here. Got a lot of haze. Hey. I pray those Necromunda bugs are plastic, because I can imagine a million cool conversions with them. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. Yes. That's the kind of stuff that I would love to see, like, people put... I don't know, man. I'm trying to think of what AOS faction I want to have riding those things. I don't know, because they are fairly small. I mean, this is a human-sized, guardsman, like, roughly speaking, because the scale's a little bit different from that old kit, but it is not a huge model, right? I mean, it can maybe go on like a 40 or 50 mil. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of a AOS faction that could make good use of those. Maybe Deepkin. Like, it's just an underwater, like, crab creature. I don't know. There's cool things to do. I like it. Nothing for me, but I'm very happy for those that are getting stuff they love, except Corey. I love it. Necromunda stuff is so great looking. Wish we had groups around here. I know. Ashwaste Nomads are going to be some prime bits for cultists. Yes, if you haven't seen that, let me... Oh, I actually closed it. I'm a dingus. It's not like I'm reviewing this stuff. So these are the Ashwaste cultists, and they look terrific. I love the masks, how they're vaguely reminiscent of... I'm terrible at the names of the gangs. What's the one that they're like, they have the high technology, and it's like killing them slowly with radioactive poisoning? I don't know why. It's the shooting faction. It's almost 11 here. Coffee's just now kicking in. But these guys are absolutely terrific. I believe they showed 2 different pictures of like the whole squad built, and I think the intention was that you can get all different kinds of optional builds from them, even though they're probably going to have like bespoke, specific builds. Like when you build this guy, you can either put this gun in his arm or this gun in his arm, kind of a thing, where it's on the rails, but there is some level of customization. Nemo, thank you so much, buddy. Van Zar, that's who it is. But they have that nice curved face with the eyeball sock. Oh yeah, they look great. Okay, so we're gonna move on from there. Let's talk about some Underworlds. Now, this is a super interesting one that I did not see coming. I mean, they showed a preview of one model, but this is a new warband to Underworlds. We have a Necromancer with his mouth all sealed up, or her? I didn't really quite catch. Let's see. Along with his warband. Okay. So we got this. This is a great looking model. If they don't come out with a death faction that's centered around necromancers, this to me is going to be the new default necromancer. I really don't care for the sculpt of the current GW one, where it's like this like gaunt, hunched over figure. Like, there's no reason every necromancer needs to have like polio and just look awful, right? You could have some guys who look pretty great. And then the warband along with them is all zombies, but one thing that stands out as unique is that there's all these like electrodes and all these kinds of things, almost like a mad scientist merged with a necromancer, which is, I mean, it's not a new trope. It's things that we see in like War Machine and Hordes have that. What are some other ones? Wild West Exodus. So it exists, but what's interesting is that we just had new zombies come out and none of them have stuff like this. So is this like Zombies Part 2, or is this, is it just going to be a warband like Skate's Wild Hunt? No idea. Wish it was more, because I do like the Frankenstein stuff. This guy up here looks pretty baller. Did someone say Underworlds? I've been summoned. Hey, Spezio, what's up, buddy? Want to kit bash a full death army of Frankensteins? Yeah, absolutely. And you know, when I first looked at this, I thought this was a ghoul, like from Flesh Eater Courts. And it still might be. I mean, he's still all hunched forward like that, but it would be interesting if... It would be very interesting for a necromancer to experiment on different kinds of living things to see what they can inject undead magic into. So, like, yes, you would have humans that you can reanimate, but what if you did that to someone who was already, we'll say, touched by the essence of death, like a Flesh Eater Court ghoul? I don't know. I don't know if that's what he's supposed to be, but I assume so. Sounds really cool. I'd be down for it, and it would make sense with the whole more of a science motif rather than just pure necromancer traditional stuff. I don't have a ton to say on it simply because I don't play Underworlds a ton anymore. But the models are terrific. I love this guy with the one Hulk arm. That seems like a good use of a dead arm that you found on the ground. And I'm excited to see. Hopefully it means some cool alternate sculpts. I mean, if nothing else, if you are a Soulblight Gravelords player, I mean, these are fantastic mini sculpts anyway. I don't think zombies have a unit leader, if I'm not mistaken. But you could just sprinkle these in, just, I don't know. Oh, maybe that's Igor? Yeah, maybe. That would be sick. He's certainly in a more action-y pose than the others. I don't understand why the necromancer is using electricity when death magic reanimates the dead. James, I don't know, but if I had to MacGuffin a reason, like if GW hired me and was like, Doug, we need you to explain this right now, I would probably say that it's a necromancer who wants to limit his use of death magic to not attract the gaze of Nagash. So what if we inject some science to keep things on the down low rather than just normal death magic? I think that could be a compelling design philosophy for a faction. Just, how can we have a death faction that isn't utterly reliant on Nagash? So that would be a cool thing, right? And the answer is science. So that's all I have on that one. I hope they do really well. This is a killer picture. You know, when you talk about the warband art that gets people excited, I typically love the Underworld's warband arts. I try to use them in as many videos as I can, simply because they just have this perfect like movie poster feel, and this delivers. So And I would agree, from the looks of it, he does look more, I don't know, with it? I don't know how else to say that. Also, the fact that his zombies are using a lot of weapons for zombies. I mean, she's got a knife, he's got a spear. I mean, like, zombies as we know them don't really wield weapons in AOS too much. I mean, they have like a few things, they'll hold a shovel or something like that. But I guess I'm wrong about that, because then the old kit had like the, what is it, pitchforks. So I walk that back. But yeah. And they go through some of the... Oh, so their keyword is conductive. I like that. I like that because not everybody has the sparks and electrodes thing. His quote his quote is the nicest thing that's ever been said in a Warhammer. I'm really proud of this one. Man. Oh geez, sorry, I drank water way too fast before starting this, so I just started to attack my own throat. Oh, the Necromancer is a vampire, is he? Is that said? Let's see. And his reanimated cadavers uncover the secrets in Harrowdeep. Where does it say he's a zombie? Oh yeah, the vampire is Dientelos the Exiled. So yeah, I would absolutely chalk that up to being, how can I do my own thing irregardless of Nagash. This next one, not going to spend an obscene amount of time these next two, but they are releasing new... Actually, I'm going to pause there. Let's do this. Tell me your thoughts at the Harrowdeep things. What would you like to see from these guys? Or he is not as talented in necromancy as you would actually like. Oh yeah, so he's more of a scientist than a necromancer in general, so he brings the two worlds together. I could be down for that. Yeah, I mean, the models are terrific. I mean, I think they, even with all the electrodes and stuff, they don't deviate enough from the standard zombie kit to like look out of place, I don't think. I think they could be really cool, just ways to enhance a unit, make it look a little more fun. But can you imagine, man, if we got like whole like flesh golems, and basically they were like, what's the undead version of the Skaven clan that just sews a bunch of rats together? I love it. I know we have a few people, Spezia here, who are into Underworlds. Tell me your thoughts on them. I would love to hear it. I'm going to take a sip of water. That would be incredible, yeah, if he was like a junior league necromancer. I'm just going to bang these out too real quick. So they're releasing the a new set of Knight codexes for 40k. One Chaos Knights, one Imperial Knights, the good guys. And so they are releasing a new kit. Mulder, thank you. I knew it was an M, but I don't want to sound like an idiot. So they're releasing a new Chaos Knight, and this guy looks sick. I love the dog skull. I don't have a reason to buy him, but I like that this model exists. He looks super metal. Then they have a larger kit. This would be like the Imperatant, is that what they're called, the Titans? The only thing I don't care for on this one is the birds. It's just because nothing else has birds on it as like a chaos motif, really. Or like largely most of the chaos models don't. But also, like, I mean, to scale, these birds are the size of a Space Marine. That's massive. What? So I kind of would have liked it if it was a little bit smaller, maybe something closer in size to like the Dire Flock from the Beast of Chaos. But yeah. What wins for me is I love the tusks. For some reason, Chaos stuff, whenever it has tusks, like the old Chaos Space Marine Terminators, I just love it. I just eat that stuff up. And I'm excited that this is here. We scroll down, we got some cool vultures. I mean, like, they are cool minis. I just don't like those specific bits on this model, right? If this was like, you know, you could replace the crow that one of the Frost Lords on whatever you want him to ride. He has like that bird on his arm. Like, you could replace that with one of these and he would look super cool. But yeah. Chaos is going to chaos. Love the tusks. Oh, yes. So that's it for the chaos one. I think this is where a lot more of the love was because there's actual models for it. So we have our big Uber Knight and the smaller one. I know that there's like equivalents in the Imperial Knight book, but I don't know. Like in terms of their size, like they're trying to match them up and pair them up. And then we are introduced. Oh, this is just basically saying, hey, there's an Imperial Knight Codex coming too, but nobody cares about that. Okay, bye. Let's see. Perfect for adding reinforcements to an existing host of Desecrators or Rampage. This box will be the first place you'll be able to get your hands on the new Codex Chaos. Okay. I'm pretty sure it probably just has, like, the two models they showed before plus the Codex. I mean, that's most of an army. But yeah. Septimus, Chaos Terminators still have tusks. Oh, sweet. I thought they got rid of that. That's awesome. Maybe I just haven't seen anyone who used that particular helmet. Night Warden Gaming can't decide to get the new Knight Codex and start a new army or make my Mechanicus army a Dark Mechanicus army. Ooh. I don't know. Dark Mechanicus stuff is my fave in terms of aesthetics. Because it just leans into 40k. It's like, what makes 40k cool? Crank it to 11. So I can leave that there. We'll just kind of leave these two here on the screen. Does anybody have any final thoughts about the Warhammer codexes? Because Corey's in the chat, we're going to skip the Blood Bowl stuff. I'm just kidding with you, buddy. We'll talk about it here in just a sec. Yeah, I don't know. I so desperately want to love 40k. Like, I do. I truly do. But the second I look into getting an army and participating, because it's so much more popular locally than Age of Sigmar, the minute I go to start looking into an army, I just get completely overwhelmed. And I'm somebody who plays Games Workshop games. And so, I don't know. The models get me so excited and pull me in, and then the minute I have to do anything with them in terms of, like, gameplay or decide on how to build it or something like that, my eyes just kind of glaze over. So, and that's why I'm like, leaning more towards the Necromunda than the 40Ks. We'll see. My buddy Steve locally is still trying to loop me in. No more thoughts. On to Blood Bowl. So here we go. The Norse team for Blood Bowl is coming at us. Corey, you're my resident Blood Bowl expert / enthusiast. The Norse team hasn't had models in quite some time, right? Or did they ever have models? No, they had to have had models before, I think, in the olden days. Tyler asks, what is it that overwhelms me about 40k? The stratagems, I think the codexes are poorly laid out where I'm constantly flipping and cross-referencing, like, weapon profiles to unit profiles to special abilities in the back. It's just a lot of, like, information hunting and then decision making, but the decisions don't feel meaningful and rewarding. So we'll put a pause on that. We can circle back to 40k here at the end. Now it's Corey's time to shine right now. So we have a new football team. First of all, these guys look sick as hell. Like, if you had told me this is our new this is going to be our new, like, I don't know, Bloodbound, like, these kinds of helmets, like the actual Blood Reavers, they look just like this and they're incredible. So, I don't know. I'm excited about it. I'm looking through the models here. I love the fact that they all have, like, spiked knuckles. This is a full update. The Norse team is currently in Legends. This is a full glow up. And it's a rework, new positions, new rules. Okay, so they just took a concept that existed before and then, you know, did a bit of a glow up. I gotcha. Gotcha. Well, that's exciting for the folks who found it interesting back in the day, being able to, like, not only do I have new models, but the design concepts were updated as well. That's terrific. They just all look super mean. Dang. This guy over here is looking like Rajikar the Beast. I like him. She has thighs larger than this guy's biceps, so I'm pretty sure she could, like, bench press him. I like this guy. You know someone's going to kit bash this to have the middle finger up, and I'm here for every second of it. Oh, man. I like, is that the helmet from one of the Death Team players at the bottom there? So, yeah. I mean, Blood Bowl there is a really large... I shouldn't say large. There's a active Blood Bowl community near me, and in my area, we're gonna start playing. And then I just got bogged down with travel, and I missed the start of the league. So the next one, hopefully, I'll be able to jump in. But I'll go hop into their game nights for a few practice things here and there. But yeah, these guys look terrific. They just absolutely look beautiful. Hopefully this means a full Norse army in the old world. That would be cool, yeah. That would be cool. We're going to be talking about the old world a little bit here in a second. Tangentially, they didn't reveal anything about it, but... So, Corey, I hope you're happy, buddy. I think these look terrific. They fit... It looks like they could, be sponsored by Ulfenkarn from Cursed City, and I would be here for it. I'll pause there. Anybody have any thoughts regarding the Norse Blood Bowl team before we get into the main event, which is down below? Pigs. On to the pigs. Oh, did I miss the pigs? Oh, I'm so silly. I didn't even see that there was a bottom thing. Yes. The team has some unique positionals, including the skillful Valkyries, brutal berserkers, and even more Ulfwerners. Let's see. Our favorite player is the Beer Boar, though. Not only do they provide a quick mid-game pick-me-up to the rest of the team, but they'll surely be challenging the Avatar of Cain for this year's miniature of the year. Oh, this is terrific. Oh, man. Now, let me ask the chat. Are there any other Blood Bowl teams? Like, I know you can take cheerleaders and medics. Like, there are, like, these kind of ancillary models that you can add to your team that do in-game benefits. Are there any that sound like the boar in terms of, like, it's a beer cask? You know, I mean, do, like, the goblins have, like, a shroom deliverer or something like that? Those are actual players. Okay, so they're going to be on the pitch, right? I'm curious as to how... I guess what I'm really asking is, are there a lot of models that would be on the pitch that heal, enhance, or boost other ones near them? Because I have never, in my limited time playing Blood Bowl, I've never heard of a team doing that. You know, aside from the normal assists. This is new. Okay, cool. I like it. What a cool design idea, right? Tyler comes in with the greatest idea ever. Those pigs are objectives for my fire slayers. Oh, yes. That is a great idea. Oh, man, I'm staring down the barrel of a fire slayer army. Maybe this needs to be my Blood Bowl team, too. It would be nice to get into Blood Bowl with a new team, because that way I could pick up their Spike magazine. I think that would go a long way to helping me. Ah, man. Man, oh, man. All right, I'm going to go do it. I am hype. Good, buddy. I'm so happy for you. So let's talk about some AOS. I'm going to actually read this article here. Spezia, hey, Doug. Tell me you don't want a D&D counter with a stab grot and a beer boar, and then tell me you wouldn't adopt them immediately. Oh, yeah. I think instead of the stab grot, I would go with the pot grot from the shaman. Because can you imagine having Talk about 420. Imagine celebrating the world with a pot grot and a beer cask piggy. Okay, let's see. Following the Seeds of Excelsius, which is the Broken Realm series, that's how that ended. All the battles and bloodshed across Gur have brought the Realm of Beasts itself to life. Get ready to join the battle in Thondia. Back to work. Take care, all. Yeah, dude. You have yourself a wonderful day. Thanks for hopping in, Corey. I really appreciate it. So, I'm not going to play the cinematic trailer just because it'll blow your eardrums out. But essentially, one of the things that has been touched on more and more when it comes to Age of Sigmar lore is this idea of the realms being alive, that they are these living things, and Alariel's life magic ritual really just amplified what was already there. Now, this is not a new thing. Like in Soul Wars, they introduced new concepts like, quite frankly, that like souls can be taken. Like that's where we got that whole arc of Slanesh and having souls pulled out of it. And like, it was just souls were the currency of the time. In this, I'm thinking the theme overarching everything is the realms are alive and they are pretty pissed. And so that's kind of the idea. Thondia is a ravenous alpha continent. Again, remember all the land masses in Gur are alive in some way. And it's where the action is right now in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. As the lore advances and the conflict escalates in this violent setting, the realm itself is waking up. That might be bad for anyone living there, but it's great news for your games. You can experience the Realm of Beasts like never before with the Thondian Strong Point. The Realmscape box includes stacks of sumptuous scenery. Building on the kits released for Warhammer Age of Sigmar last year, you'll now be able to create your own settlement in Gur. Not only that, it unleashes a new type of unit upon any explorers foolish enough to carelessly venture into the bone-strewn plains. So here is our avatar of Gur, basically. What's in the Mortal Realms is that thing. It's a Krond Spire incarnate of Gur. So my shorthand is going to be Gur Elemental. I mean, it's kind of what it is, right? This savage apparition is a manifestation of pure amber magic created in the wake of Alariel's Rite of Life. It's a new type of unit that's part spell, part monster, and all danger. So let's just leave this here for a second, just kind of look at this guy. I've seen a lot of different opinions and hot takes online this morning. Didn't like most of them. I'll be perfectly honest with you. If you look here at the bottom, you see where the amber magic meets the boring looking base. And then if you look here way on the top to where the highest point of the horn is, this model bangs from the lowest piece of it to the highest tipping point. This thing, if you dumped gasoline and lit a match on two people having sex, it could not be more fire. Oh, man. So, that is to say, it's all really hot. That's a joke. That's a joke for you. So, here's the thing. This looks like maybe the power is emanating from this giant hunk of amber. I can't remember what they call the Gur Realmstone. And so it looks like the power is pouring out of it. I love the little swirly thing. If I tried to imagine what like wild magic's coming to life is, it's something like this. He almost has the same pose as, I don't know what, my brain is just skipping on words today, guys. I'm so sorry. Varanthrax. Varanthrax? Yes, from the Underworlds. Like he has that giant maw like this, and you can see his spine kind of forming a little mountain range behind it. I think there's kind of a lot of that same idea, especially if you were looking at it from above, I'd imagine. I like it. Amber bone isn't. Oh, I think you're right. I think it is amber bone. Yes, that would make absolute sense because it looks like a skull. What else? I don't know. I like it. That's all there is to it. I like it. One of the things that I wanted to touch on was, first of all, I'm going to say this because right now I am building a Bone Splitters army. They might be crazy, but technically speaking, They were the only faction that called this. And by that I mean, if you look at the latest Orc War Clans book, I was actually just reading it last night, this lore section about the Bone Splitters, which has shrunk considerably from their original battle tome, basically states, like, the Bone Splitters might be crazy for believing that each realm has an actual beast, and if they just kill the beast and take its bones, it'll, like, unlock Gorka Morka in that realm. And so they're actively hunting what they call, like, the realm spirits. And this just, like, when I read that, I was like, oh man, they're crazy, but they were right. You are technically correct, the best kind of correct. And I like that quite a bit. What I would love is some narrative missions where we saw the Amberstone Watch, which came with, was that Dominion, I think? One of those sets. And the Cruel Boys were trying to basically poison the realms. And that was their whole mission. Poison the realms, mess it all up. Wouldn't it be cool if there was a narrative mission where if they succeed at the end of a campaign, the next, or near the end of a campaign rather, the next game, the final one, your opponent, whoever's trying to stop the poisoning, gets one of these on their side. Because Gur itself is like, cut the crap. That would be the coolest mission ever. What are you talking about? Oh man, I'm over the moon. I've seen some people talk about doing kit bashes with him and having, what is it, the Mortarks on the back. That would be rad. I'll take it. So, we're going to keep moving here. I could stare at that model all day. And will. The Incarnate, so they're going to talk lightly about rules. So we're not going to make a ton of assumptions here, but lightly about them. The Incarnate is bonded to one of the heroes in your army. Heroes there is bolded, so it makes me think it's a keyword thing, which is interesting because that means the Grimwrath Berserker can be bound to it, because he's, yeah, even though he's not a leader. And anyone in Gur can summon one. Summon is an interesting word, so it is kind of like an endless spell type thing. You need to be careful, though. If its bonded champion is killed, the Incarnate will go wild, and it may even attack your own forces. So it makes... I mean, it just sounds like an endless spell, right? But it's bound to a hero? I don't know. But I want it to have a profile. Wouldn't it be so cool if you could summon, like, an ethereal thing that had a profile in terms of, like, hits, wounds, that kind of thing? Like, that's kind of what I wanted from the Rat Swarm for Skaven when we saw their endless spells get previewed. But yeah. So here we go. Let's see. Okay, and they just say alongside that there's just a whole lot of scenery coming out. So this is the scenery set. And so we have the two half-built buildings. We have one of these statues, which I think has come out before in the other set. And if you're not familiar, essentially when they plant a... Dawnbringer Crusade plants a new city or fortification, whatever they're trying to do, there is a list of things that they do in order. The first one is these statues form a perimeter that basically keeps out demons and ethereal things, or at least offers some protection from them. Then they have a giant energy source, which taps into the geomantic power of the realms, and that's how they get their energy to fuel this fence, for lack of a better word. We also have this thing to the bottom left, which is their water purification system. This whole thing is on a floating monolith that they drag behind them, and then when they get to their location, they build this little stairwell, and then we park it right there, and now, boom, instant access to clean drinking water. It's sort of like a Giran Realm of Life fount, right? If we think about, the old... what was it called? I've never seen one on the table. When they did the Vault Wars Crusade, they had those like machines that basically like made people forget where the vaults were, the storm vaults were. Those kinds of like one-off pieces of technology. In that case, it channeled Hish magic that was kind of inverted to make people forget rather than enlightened. This is a Guran equivalent where it's like, it's just a little pocket of pure magic from that realm, and the effects are it cleans water. And so this is how you get fresh water with you at all given times, which is a really cool idea and solves, frankly, a lot of the problems that existed with campaigns of the size and magnitude that we read about in fantasy battles. Because, like, if you're a history buff at all and you look at the way fantasy armies work, you're like, there's no ever-loving hell way that they're going to be able to feed and water all those troops and that kind of stuff. But with the Age of Sigmar, they're like, we got a floating rock for that. Penumbral engines. Spezia wins. Thank you, buddy. Never saw one. Literally never saw one. They're cool. I like them in concept. But yeah, no. Let's see. Yeah, that's a great thing. I mean, the random carcass, they said on the stream it's 12 inches long. So, like, it's a big ol' hunkin' thing. I think it was Wade who was joking, like, yeah, you can use this as your new, endless spell, the Palisade or whatever. And then the other host was like, nope, this thing is huge. I'm like, oh, wow, I love it. Let's see. There's new terrain to be found, too. The Megadroth remains show just how big the beasties and Gur can grow, large enough for whole units to hide behind the skeletons in battle, and a cleansing aqualith is ideal for anyone who has a waterfall envy after seeing the Shrine Luminor. Yeah, absolutely, why not? Let's see. So anyway, that's the box set that has all of it. And then I'm going to pause there. So we're just talking this box set. Thondian Strongpoint comes with scenery and the Incarnate. We're just going to call it the Incarnate. So let's see. What do you think? Sorry, this is a Junius01. And I'm pausing here, so if you have thoughts on this Thondian Strongpoint box, throw them in the chat. What do you think about the fact that they are putting already existing scenery kits in this kit? I would have bought it for the waterfall, bones, and statue, but I'm not interested in the ruins. That's a tough one. And I see the dilemma that they put themselves in. So I had the same problem with Catacombs for Warcry, where Catacombs is its all a complete system that is different from the base game of Warcry. And yet, they still threw in like 2 out of the 4 sets for buildings from the original. And I didn't like that because without those, Catacombs could have been like an $85, a way cheaper entry point. And it was self-contained. You're in the Catacombs. You're not anywhere else. So like for that example, I didn't care for it. But when I look at this, I see the tension in saying, I feel like some marketer at Games Workshop has to say, when someone buys one of our products, they need to have like everything they need for a table. And maybe that's what they were going for. So like the 3 pieces of terrain that are new and actually interesting, well, 2 pieces of terrain, 1 unit, the Incarnate, are what people want. And I wish that there was like again, sell me a $85, $90 box with just those. But I do also understand the desire to have a product that is like, you want to buy a table in 1 box? Boom. Here you go. Do it. And like, there's value in that. I feel like Games Workshop has enough avid customers to not make us rebuy stuff like the ruins. I don't know. All I have to say is I don't have those ruins, and they might be cool to have. But I'm not the biggest fan of it. It seems like sometimes I feel like they don't understand how dedicated their audience is, and every other game company in the world is like, what the hell are you guys doing? So like when I say dedicated, I mean people who are like into terrain already have all those kits. You're totally right. And we just want the 3 new ones. Anything beyond that, I don't know. So, maybe you forgot you saw them. Heyo. The engines are a cool model, but I'm only bringing it as terrain. Nice. Tyler, looks really cool. So curious to see what the not endless spell does. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, because it says part spell, part monster. So like that's a very specific thing, because monster is a unit profile designation. It's not like there's no endless spell monster, right? Otherwise, the Gnashing Maw would be one, for example. Would this be enough for a full table? I think if you're just starting in the game and you want a one-stop purchase, I think it's totally fine for a full table. Tables are smaller than 4x6. I don't think that they're super crowded. If you buy this and splash a few trees, I think you're cooking with fire. The Bro 41, do your picks for the upcoming Chaos and Order Battle Tomes change? You know, honestly, I never really had much in the way of picks. I had hopes, like I want Skaven, but nothing really changes after this now. This box is so awesome. Definitely going to be a pickup for me. I've been building a Gur Stormcast and Free People's Army, so this was meant for me. Nice. Hey, Battleborn, what is your... Sorry, Battlebar, not Born. What is your Storm host? I'm curious. Okay. So we're going to move on to the next thing here. Mainly curious for the new cities. Yeah, absolutely. And that's not all. Alongside the scenery and the incredible Kronspined Incarnate of Gur, the first season of War Book is arriving for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. It expands the ongoing narrative of the Mortal Realms and explores the aftermath of the battle at Amberstone Watch, which is the Dominion set where they're trying to poison Gur, the Siege of Excelsis, the giant conclusion to the Broken Realm series, the Dawnbringer Crusades, which is people planting new cities, and the Alpha Continent of Thondia, which is more of a location-based thing. Let's see. Alongside with loads of background and lore, as well as rules for the Incarnate, this book includes a new battle packs for all kinds of games, including 2 for narrative play, one of them focused on Path to Glory. Now, I need to reread that a second. So, book includes new battle packs. For a split second, when I first read this morning, I thought it said missions. And I was like, are you kidding me? They made us wait this long for 2 missions and only one of them is focused on Path to Glory. But a battle pack is like the rules for the whole type of gaming. So like, I'm assuming there's going to be more than 1 mission in there, right? I'm hoping for at least 6. One of them focused on Path to Glory. Yes. Seasons of War Thondia includes realm rules for setting your games in Thondia, and mechanics for creating your own hero from the realm of beasts. A Grot Priest on Dragon, anyone? Would-be explorers who crack open this book will also find details of the fantastical flora and fauna to be found across Gur. Let me show this great picture here. I'm very excited about it. Let's see. Okay. So reading this, let's go through here and explain what I'm so stoked about. First of all, it's interesting. So it's not quite the thing that I was expecting. When I was watching the Twitch stream, they did say like, hey, if you're familiar with the 40k Crusade books, this will seem very familiar to you. But if you actually look at the physical book, it's not the little A5, micro pages that are like ring bound, which I was like, okay, well, I kind of like that design, but all right. This is much more of a traditional Broken Realms campaign style book, which is cool. But essentially, it's located with stuff about Gur the place, which I'm excited about. I do want to do an entire Gur series on my channel, absolutely. The Amberstone Watch, I'm very anxious to learn about that because the only reason I don't cover more of the 2-player battle boxes, like where it comes with 2 random factions, is because they never have a resolution, right? I mean, the story exists solely to set up your games, and then the last game is like, and whoever wins, wins. It's like, well, that's not a story resolution. I need more than that. And so this would be the resolution to that combat. So that would be really nice to have. The Siege of Excelsis, right? I mean, I don't think they're going to have a whole lot of more cutting information on that, but more just the aftermath, which I think is also very important. The Dawnbringer Crusades is an interesting little slip in there because I am convinced, okay, and I have please understand, I have no insider knowledge. I'm convinced this is the next iteration of the Cities of Sigmar Battle Tome. So what that means for this, I have no earthly concept, but I would love to know more about them. And then the Alpha Continent of Thondia, which, the second you told me I was going to be excited to learn about a continent, I'd have said you were kidding. As far as battle packs, it says includes new battle packs for all kinds of games. Now, 2 battle packs for narrative play. So that makes me think. One is obviously for Path to Glory. They shouted out here, but the other battle pack is probably allowing you to recreate stories that they tell you in this book. I mean, because technically, if you look at the Broken Realms books, they didn't have the language because that came out in 3rd edition for battle packs, but like they have very bespoke missions with which factions are involved and how many of what you can have. I imagine this is going to be something like that. So 2 narrative play ones, one where you're on the rails for their story, and the other one, Path to Glory, do whatever you want. So that's cool. As far as the hero builder goes, they've tried a few times to do the Anvil of the Anvil of Apotheosis, where you get to make your own heroes. I will say that it started in a General's Handbook forever ago, and it was a very, I'm gonna say, rough system. Like it just didn't deliver on what everybody wanted. Then they went later on in White Dwarf magazines and did like each faction, or not faction, but sometimes a Grand Alliance, sometimes a specific faction. And when they did that, when they actually took the time to zoom in, it was actually a really compelling system. It just, unfortunately, was in a White Dwarf. So it went away like a fart in the wind, because like anyone who comes into the game afterwards just simply does not have access to it. And it's also usually not the most important thing there. So, it just gets glossed over. And so the idea of a dedicated system taking all the things that they've learned from those various ones before, I'm assuming they're going to do a once over and tune it up a bit more. That would be really cool. So I would like that. Maybe I can put a Bone Splitter riding an Incarnate or something like that. And also this last bit, like would-be explorers who crack open this book will also find details about the fantastical flora and fauna to be found across the around Gur. So what's interesting to me about that is we have very little knowledge, and I kind of mentioned this with the 40k one as well, very little knowledge about the actual world that all these stories take place in. Like we get a lot of the themes and the vibes, but like 40k not showing us a lot of like actual animals, like they're riding the giant fleas in Necromunda. But this one is interesting because I want to know more about the plants and animals. Like it's world building, and for some reason it seems like Games Workshop sometimes is very hesitant to get into that. They're like, oh, people aren't here to learn about plants and animals. It's like, no, people are here to be invested in your intellectual property and the world that you build. So build a world. And so I'm excited about it. Let's see. Slothman. So Broken Realms named it differently. No, not at all. Because this does not have one cohesive narrative. It touches on a few different things. Broken Realms didn't do that. It's a follow-up because the events happen after it. I guess. It didn't have an Anvil of Apotheosis. It didn't have a custom Path of Glory set. Like, there's a lot different. Astral Templars with tons of Bone Splitter bits all over them. Nice. I like it. I also picked up Jack's Anvil Guard box. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. To add the Raptor Chariot in. Nice. If this book turns out to be the Realms biology book, I would be begging for years. I would be happy. Yeah. How could you not? So, I feel like we've talked quite a bit about the Seasons of War Thondia thing. I'm going to move on. We have 2 more things to check out. One, if you're a Nighthaunt player, buckle up Buttercup, because you got one of the coolest models that they have ever released for these guys. He is essentially the ferryman of the dead, and he's just the coolest. In life, Allrock the Drowner was a wicked ferryman who killed those he was supposed to be transporting. We're sure you can guess his preferred method from his name. Nagash liked his style, so in death he tasked with ferrying the spirits of the deceased to wherever The Lord of Death needs them. I mean, I don't... That's a hell of a Tinder profile. I like drowning people that I take on rides. I like the fact that the ghosts are all trying to give him coin. Like, desperately trying... Don't! Yeah, I think he just looks terrific. For some reason, I've never been the biggest fan of, like, the studio's painting of Nighthaunt. Like, I like different colors. Maybe it just looks different in person. But I can't wait to see what artists do with this, of, like, object source lighting from this lantern, like, on his back and down below. Like, I think some painters are going to take this to the next level with specifically object source lighting. But, yeah. No, I love them. Because can you imagine if they had, like, the ethereal glow on, like, the boat and the oar and even the grave on the bottom, but all of that was, like, superseded by a bright light from the lantern? Like, I think he could look great. The highly atmospheric new miniature perfectly fits the Nighthaunt range, but Alruk adds more than just an eerie model to your force. He has special rules to help your army get wherever it needs to be on the tabletop. Offering his allies passage through the Underworlds. When he's not busy rowing, the Drowner is pretty handy in a fight with his oar. We recommend staying away from the pointy end of his boat. He's just a terrific model. Things that I hope for. I hope that he has after he charges, he does damage, like the ship literally crashes into people kind of a thing. I would like to see that. I'm curious what kind of teleport it's going to be. Like, is it going to be the kind of movement chicanery where it's like the Fire Slayers with the priest who you can set up off the board, and then when you start the game you can bring them in anywhere. That's one kind of movement. Another one obviously is just teleport. You know, every other turn a unit wholly within 9 of this guy, you could pick him up and put him outside of 9 of an enemy. There's a lot of different ways it can go. So I think the value of that ability to move Nighthaunt units is going to greatly depend on what kind of teleport it is. Because, I mean, either of them are good, right? Starting the game outside 9 of an opponent is fantastic for scenario play. It allows you to capture objectives really, really fast, really tightly. But if it's something like, like the Stormcast Prayer, like, it's just going to function a little bit differently. So, yeah. Such an awesome model. My only note is that Nighthaunt aren't missing for characters, and I agree. To me, I don't know, because that's the Nighthaunt thing, and obviously we're looking at this through the glass of the current battle tome, not the new one coming out, which we don't have any kind of time frame for, as far as I know. But we're staring down the barrel of it, and it's just like, they have such a glut of the coolest frickin' hero models in this entire game, and no infantry to support them in truly meaningful ways. Like, they're not killy. Their defensive stuff can be taken out with the right application of dice, right? You just throw dice at them. They will fail all of their ethereal saves eventually. And so I think you're right, Biofoot. It's one more in a long list of accolades that is their hero section. Let's see. I mean, they need to have a battalion, a core battalion that's just like Oops All Heroes, and it somehow counts as battle line. I'd be down for that. Yeah, oh yeah, okay, I got it. We'll call it the Honeymoon Procession. Okay, you got Lady O, Kurdos Valentian, that's husband and wife right there. The ferryman is taking them on a nice little Italian, what is it? Not canola, is that what it's called? The little ferry boats they have in Italy? Oh yeah, we got this. And then like the Dreadblade Harrows, or maybe like just a cool couple of guys hanging out near them. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. We'll scroll down here. So yes, I want ramming speed. I love his model's emphasis on treasure. I'm curious if there would be a non-named version of it. I don't know. but I don't know if I'd want that. Gondola, thank you. Cannoli is I said canola because I was like, I know it's not a cannoli. Cannoli is my spirit animal. It's not, a boat. Gondola, thank you so much. Okay, let's see. So we got that one. And then we have... I think that these are, in my opinion, all pretty much tied together. So if you're not familiar, right now, the Horus Heresy, technically, as we speak, is nothing more than a series of models that exist on the Forge World site, and occasionally Games Workshop will cough up a plastic kit here and there. It, as of now, uses the rules from the previous iteration of 40k, not the previous edition, because that was then and we're at now. I'm talking like the old school one. Is it 7th, I think? So cannoli is delicious. So it's this weird space where it's not technically a supported game by Games Workshop. It exists as this ancillary product from one of their subsidiaries, and this announcement was, in my opinion, and the opinion of many people, because I was following the Horus Heresy groups as this was being announced, the idea seems to be that it's much more of a shift from, this is no longer a side ancillary project with a couple of random model kits here or there, a lot of them were taken offline, that kind of thing. We're now going to bring it into the fold as a fully supported mainstream game. Different from 40k, I hope. To me, Warhammer, the Horus Heresy, which is now the official sum of all, hopes and dreams title, is much more interesting than 40k, even just timeline wise, because as much as I do like the grim dark aesthetic of 40k, and I do like the factions that are involved, like everything from all the Imperial factions to all the Xenos and that kind of stuff, the Horus Heresy has stood out to me because it is, at its core, it's a Civil War story. And the reason I love this is because, to me, some of the best science fiction that exists is taking very, very real problems and pain and interactions amongst us that we can understand and put ourselves in those positions, and then you project it to the nines through a fantasy story so that we can absorb those lessons and see that heartache and see that pain and those momentous victories in our own way without feeling the burden of like, oh man, I'm reading about actual people dying kind of a thing. So when you put a Civil War story in the, I'm going to say, space opera setting that is Warhammer, I'm in. And I have followed many of the Horus Heresy books. Flight of the Eisenstein is still one of my absolute favorite books I've ever read. I just love it. It's a terrific story that shows a united Imperium, and then it just gets torn to shreds, and you see Space Marines have to struggle with the concept, like they literally, because of their psycho conditioning, can't fathom the kind of betrayal, and you see a whole half of the Imperium have to be like, do what? And figure it out really freaking quick. So I'm quite excited. So anyway, that's my thing about the Horus Heresy. I'm very, very excited about it as a setting, much more so than the current timeline of 40k, which I find to be very hard to keep up with. And also because the galaxy is so vast, there's just plenty of room for any stories you want to tell. Even within the Black Library books, if you are curious about learning about the Horus Heresy, I highly cannot recommend enough. There's a podcast that is no longer airing called The Independent Characters, and if you go to their archives and listen, they did like these 4-hour-long reviews and breakdowns of these colossal Horus Heresy books that Forge World would drop, and they go into excruciating detail of like how insane this story is from start to finish. And so if you want to get caught up on those, highly recommend it. Carl Tuttle is the host of that. He was one of the original Warhammer heroes. Frickin' phenomenal guy. So let me see if I can actually find a link to that. Let's see. I'll bring it over here just so I'm not... Let's see. Because I legitimately want you all to listen to these. Because they get me excited. I can spell. I know how to spell the word heresy. Yeah, here we go. Okay, I'll throw this in the chat. So that right there is the link to the independent characters, and some of their episodes are in the archive, some are not. It is what it is. I highly recommend the show. If you just skip to like an hour in, because they do like other segments as far as hobby progress, news, that kind of stuff. If you skip to about an hour in, you'll be right there. To release this, they put out a huge... I'm sorry. I've waxed poetically for like 5 minutes on the Horus Heresy and haven't actually mentioned what they previewed. A new game system. They did it with a terrific movie. You have to watch the cinematic trailer. If you don't like Warhammer 40k, that's cool, but it gives you a phenomenal insight into what the crew behind the scenes envision. And it's just astounding. The scale of the carnage and that kind of stuff. It's so cool. So we'll keep scrolling down here. We can confirm that an incredible new edition of Warhammer the Horus Heresy is coming out later this year, and we can't wait to show you more of it. As we build up to the launch, you can expect our Remembrancers, which is the human auxiliaries that go to like record the history, to bring you a closer look at exactly what makes this game so special. Eagle-Eye viewers have already noticed a new logo at the end of the Cobb, I don't know how to pronounce that, reveal at the Las Vegas Open. Let's see, we're gonna go down. Okay, so we got that. That's the main, that was like the article kind of showing the video. And then today, and then later on they kind of showed off the tactical squad. So this is the famous Mark, I believe it's 6, right? Is it Mark 6 armor? Yeah. In plastic, and so these are the ones with the beaky marines. And I thought for the longest time I would never paint another old school Space Marine sized model, but this guy is just rad. The Horus Heresy stuff has been incredible in terms of visuals and the overall vibe that they give. Like some of these models, if you go to Forge World, which I'm hoping a lot of their products will move from Forge World to the main studio at this point. But if you look at them, like everyone just looks so broken and tired. Like more so than just a lot of the warrior aesthetics we get from all the other factions. It's just, these are all broken people. They're either broken because they've been shattered mentally by the power of chaos and then turned evil, or they're broken because you can't fathom the amount of betrayal that's happening. So it's just all their facial expressions, their poses. I mean, some of them have their shoulders like slumped, like they are just straight up depressed. And I'm like, I get it. Very, very cool stuff. And then we scroll down here. Say hello to the Plastic Praetor. Praetors, if I'm not mistaken, so if you play Horus Heresy, please correct me. My understanding is that the Praetors are sort of a Swiss Army knife hero, that you can equip them and kit them out to do various things within your legion. And remember, it's legion, not chapter, because they haven't broken up into chapters yet. We're talking full ham legions. There are like a very specific number of armies. Unfortunately, they aren't moving the faction-specific kits to plastic. That's a real bummer. That's a real bummer. But, oh yeah, here we go. Here's all the leaders. Man, some of these guys are just sick. I remember my first Chaos Space Marine army I had when I was playing that up in Seattle was Iron Warriors, and here's Perturabo, just man made of gun. I like it. So, I don't have an immense amount of interest in the new 40k stuff they showed. I really like the Necromunda things. If there is a local group that wants to do it, I would join in. I don't see any problem finding a Horus Heresy group because the models and the setting are so stunning, and one of the things that makes the Horus Heresy so interesting from a game design perspective is that because you're talking about the legions, They all have access to the same equipment, the same types of troops, and really it is their flair within their faction that makes them set apart. So what I mean by that is, from a game balance perspective, the Horus Heresy was largely thought to be the best way to play Warhammer 40k during 7th edition. Like, the actual main game was a flustercluck, to put it in a PG term. And then Horus Heresy, because so many of the units are similar to one another, and they're just kind of influenced by minor rules from their factions, or maybe, you know, a unique unit here or there, depending on the legion, the game was much easier to balance. And so it became a very intuitive system, even though 40k 7th edition was a very cumbersome system overall. I think it just ended up being a better game system, or a better use of those mechanics in general. Let's see. Give me 1 second here. I just got to quick respond to my wife. She sent me a text. Sorry, honey, I'm doing a live show. She's asking me what color she should get her nails done. Okay, sorry about that. I love my wife very much, and she's allowed to interject anytime she wants. Horus Heresy is what keeps me into 40k, even though the two settings are so different. They very much are. They very, very much are. So, yeah, this is all I got. That was it for the... Oh, wait, there was one more thing, wasn't there? Yeah, something about 40k, Chaos Stirs... Yes, Chaos Space Marine players, they're getting a new codex at some point. Oh, heck, Matt, maybe that'll be a good time to jump in. The Warpsmith, yep, and Chosen got new models. Cool, okay. This is one of the famous, I'm going to call it GW non-preview previews, where they don't really tell you anything. Hey, there's a book coming. Cool, thanks. Should I mark my calendar? Nope. Should I hold my breath? Nah. Neat. That's a ridiculous question. Magos Purple. Yes, I love Magos Purple. No, we're going... So instead of going to Adepticon this year, we are going to we'll leave tomorrow morning for a romance book convention that my wife is doing her first signing at. And so I'm very bummed that I can't go to Adepticon, but my wife has supported me so much when it comes to this channel that I would love to be there for her first convention, just like she was there for mine in 2019 for Nova. So I'm happy to go. And so I told her to get nails that match her colors that she uses for her logo for her books, which is a kind of a rose pink. Anyway. Magos Purple, though, is a fantastic second up. So anyway, friends, that's all I have for the preview show. I mean, the reveal show, rather. Going down the list of things I'm most excited about. First of all, Thondia. Yes, my body is ready. I think quickly behind that Chaos Space Marine thing is partly a joke. Okay. I mean, fine. You know, I mean... regardless, I feel like Games Workshop does those kinds of previews. Regardless. Behind that is probably... I feel like Warhammer Horus Heresy is more interesting to me at the exact moment than Necromunda, but the two are real close. Like, pocket to pocket close. Problem I have with 40k is the story's kind of stale. Agreed, and what's interesting is that as much as stale as it can feel in 40k, Horus Heresy is actually incredibly interesting, even though we already know how it ends. Like, they still manage to write up intrigue within that setting. So, for me, yeah, it's going to be Thondia, Horus Heresy, the Drowner model. Oh, Necromunda, and Blood Bowl. I think the things I'm least excited about are the new codexes for 40k, the Night books as well as the Chaos thing they kind of have mentioned. I mean, I like the Chaos Knights. I just don't see myself ever actually playing 40k with Knights. And then the Harrow Deep is just kind of my big question mark in that I like the models, but I don't know what it's supposed to tell me about Age of Sigmar, Death. It's just kind of its own thing. So it's like, okay, cool. So what I'll do is I'll pull this up here and I'll just leave it here. Does anyone else have any final thoughts that they would like to share regarding the Adepticon reveal? Overall, I'm pleased. Not everything was for me. There's still a lot of stuff that I find at least interesting from like a conceptual level. Like I don't play Necromunda right now, but I'm glad that they're getting vehicles and expansions and stuff. The Horus Heresy is a fantastic series, and I would I'm oftentimes asked to do like 40k lore on the channel, and I tried here and there for a little bit, but it never stuck with me. And I think the reason is a lot of the codexes are very, very dry, like compared to Age of Sigmar battle tomes. And so I've always kind of struggled with that. The Horus Heresy is its own beast because essentially they have an entire set of novel support that's specifically dedicated to telling, intense narratives about betrayal, about sacrifice, about power. Like, I just feel like they're a way stronger series of books overall than the general one-offs you get for Black Library stuff for given factions. Let's hope Skaven and Sylvaneth for the next AOS battle tomes. I'd be happy with that. I mean, they could do to Sylvaneth what they do to He Knights of Slaanesh and just keep rapid firing, releasing the same stinking army book and just kind of shifting what the problems with it are. But they could do that all day, and I'd be happy to talk about them. The Bad Ab War is the coolest lore for 40k. That's a Forge World supplement too, isn't it? Yeah, with it's not. Man, they have a character who like took a melt-a-shot to the face, and I can't think of his name, but he's so baller. I think they got rid of him. He used to be a hero in the Chaos Space Marine book. Anyway, friends, thank you so much for hanging out with me and listening to my thoughts as I ramble poetically about these things. Very excited for the future of Age of Sigmar, and you can expect lore series to cover any stories that come out of the Thondia book, as well as I want to do a full week of Gur lore because it seems to be the overarching setting for right now. So, yeah. Anyway, friends, leave some thoughts in the comments down below if you have any, and I will chat with you all next time. You guys have fun, and happy wargaming.